Hey family, it's your girl Carter Sade, and you are now tuned into Carter's Table Talks. Hey family, today is March the 31st, and it's our very first episode. I'm super excited to start this show with Kisha Joe, the owner of 30 Girl Credit Repair. I had the opportunity to sit down and discuss ways in which we can monetize our credit as well as restore it. So let's just check this episode out right now. All right, so let's just go ahead and hop right in. I'm super excited to have you on the show, the first episode of Carter's Table Talks. That's what we're going to run with. And I just want to go ahead and let the viewers know how I came into contact with you. And I was literally thinking about this earlier, and I was like, oh, she came to the very first Hey New Friends meetup before it was even Hey New Friends. Like, that wasn't even the name. It wasn't thought of. I think I even told you that day, like, oh, I just wanted to meet people, so I just brought us all together for one day. Like, let's just hang out. So yes, you were at the inaugural Hey New Friends event before it was even known to be Hey New Friends. Isn't that so cool? Yes, and I remember there you talked about your brand, and once I started following you on social media, I got to see your work. And so I'm super excited to have you on the show. I do believe that the viewers and listeners will be blessed by not only your testimony, but just getting the tips and gems that you have to offer. So welcome to the show. And let's just hop into it. So what is the 30 Girl brand? What is 30 Girl?
Okay, so 30 Girl for me, a lot of people hear the name and they just think, oh, I'm not 30 yet, or
right.
I'm past 30, I can't be a 30 Girl. 30 Girl to me is a lifestyle. So it's the point where you reach a place in life where you're just like, you know what, no more games. I'm not playing with myself. I'm financially secure. I'm mentally secure.
Right.
I know who I am. I know what I want. And you stand in your truth. You own it. You really live it. That's what it's about. So I want the 30 Girl for me was to want, like an event space, a property where we could all come to, get our lives.
Right.
So like a library, a co-working space, some meeting space, even like some virtual office spaces.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So when I started, I was just like, well, how are people going to know about 30 Girl? So I started the podcast. And then, actually prior to that, I had started doing credit repair. Credit repair started with me because I feel like we all need to be financially stable.
Right.
Getting your finances together after college, or if you become a young mom. I consider myself a young mom. I had my daughter when I was 22 years old, even though I had went to college and everything.
22, and here I am at 28. Like, I'm a young mother, but
yes. Yeah, so I went to college. I felt like I had did everything right, but then having her at 22, like kind of in the midst of it all, I was just like, oh my God, girl, you're like, well, this is life. Take me.
Like you had to get it together immediately.
Yes. And I'm not even going to lie. I really enjoyed my 20s. Thank God I had the support that I had, with my child, and I still worked in corporate America at the time. I always had really good jobs in government or contracting for the government. So, but I had played a lot with my money, with my finances.
I was going to ask you, like, was your interest into credit repair because you had a personal experience? Like, what even?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I started doing credit repair because I had completely jacked up my own credit, completely jacked it up. It was a mess. So having my daughter at 22, I was trying to live and work, and, I was still living a little reckless at the time. And it was just time for change. So I would say around like 28 is when I became a 30 Girl, but 30 is kind of like stuck when I started walking like I was talking. So yeah, that's what started it. My own personal journey. Like I said, I completely destroyed my credit in my 20s. I had to, saying this on air, I filed bankruptcy at 27.
Okay.
Yes, and I know a lot of people are so frowned upon bankruptcy because they think it's like the worst thing that can possibly happen to you. But when you take into account the amount of debt that you have to the lifestyle that you live, at that time I had owed like $120,000 worth of debt. And I hadn't owned anything. I didn't own a house. I didn't own any cars at that time. I was still buying cars like with cash, or, my credit wasn't up to par. So I was going to like small small car companies.
Okay.
So, to obtain credit, which was like putting me deeper into a hole with that simple interest credit rate. It's something that I learned once I started doing credit. So once I completely got my life in order, I was learning so much. I was just like, I can't keep this to myself. We don't know this stuff. Like nobody that I know knows this stuff.
Yeah. So how do we go through this journey of how you even built your credit back up from bankruptcy? Because I know like a lot of listeners, and viewers, people right now are like in really bad situation. We go to college, we get credit cards, we run them up, and we don't think twice about it. And so I think what I've come to find now is just like a lot of people are struggling. Like now, we're at the age where we want to buy houses, or you want to get a loan for a car, and you want to do all these things, and you're like, well, dad, the things that I did in the beginning of my 20s has completely messed up my credit score. Like,
Sure.
And so on average, like, what do you think is a good credit score? Like a good mark? Like, okay, I have a good credit score.
I would say a good credit score to me over here at the 30 Girl, we are very realistic, real life. We're not saying, hey, have an 800 straight out the gate. We know that takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline. So I would say a good credit score for me, like I would tell my clients, is you want to be in a really good place. And a good place is about a 650.
650.
Above average. And you can obtain anything you want with a very fair interest rate at that point. Having a 650 credit score. That's the minimum. Anything higher than that, you're skating on ice.
So I know that there's 3 scores, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the 3 scores?
Well, there's 3 credit bureaus.
Okay.
So that's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian.
Okay, and so with those 3 scores, any of those can be a 650, and that would be.
Yes, you would want all 3 of them. See, a lot of people think, you'll pull your credit on Credit Karma, or some people like Experian or TransUnion, but those are only giving you your scores for one bureau. You want your scores and your credit reports to look the exact same, uniform across the board. That's where a lot of the discrepancies and challenges come in when I'm doing the credit repair process. Some companies only report to 1, sometimes all 3 or 2, even 2, only 2 of the bureaus. So you want to get it corrected where it matches across the board.
So out of the bureaus, is there like one bureau that's like harder than the others, or like, to get a better score?
Yes. Equifax do not play.
So is that the one I think is more so like car loans and things like that people look at?
Actually, it depends. Actually most, believe it or not, most companies use Experian. Okay. And Experian is good. However, they don't do a lot of the monthly updates that you will want. So if you're paying 2 or 3 payments a month on your credit card, if you're splitting your credit card bill down into 3 payments, you will want a credit bureau that's going to report that payment every single time. Experian and TransUnion generally tend to only report 1 or 2 times a month. So like the beginning of the month and maybe like a mid-month soft reporting. Okay. Experian, they're going to update every time a transaction occurs.
Okay, so then what is the FICO score? Because I've seen that too.
Yeah. Okay, so that's why So you have your Vantage scores, and those are the scores that you see on Credit Karma, which are not accurate. So anytime you're on Credit Karma, just know that your credit score could be anywhere from 30 to 50 points higher, sometimes even more, 50 points higher or lower. Okay. So you want to look at your FICO scores, and you're going to be able to get those on myfico.com or actually reaching out to the individual bureaus to get your credit scores.
Okay, so that's the best method. Like if I want an accurate score, just reach out to the bureaus and get my score.
Yes, but you would have to reach out to them personally, like actually reach out to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian individually to get it. My FICO is going to give you all 3. And if you visit my website, www.30girl.org, and click pull your reports, you can have all 3 of your reports show up for you on one screen side by side. And those will be
And so how often should we be checking our credit scores? Because I know that when people pull hard reports, that goes against your credit score and things like that, but you can get a number that way. But how often should we check our credit scores?
You should be monitoring your credit as often as you check your bank statement.
I check my bank statement almost every day. So
exactly. So I'm in my phone and I'm checking my Identity IQ. I even still use Credit Karma as a reference because they very good as far as reporting information. However, just keep in mind that the credit scores are going to always be off. The information a lot of times is accurate. The dates may be a few weeks behind, but Credit Karma, as you can see, if you have an account with them, you'll get alerts right away as soon as you apply for something, or even sometimes as soon as you make a payment on an account. They're really good with that, but the score isn't going to be correct. So I do say use them as a reference for information, just to keep track of what's on your credit, but try not to hone in on the credit score alone.
So my issue with the scores is like, I feel like it's like a manipulation game, right? And so I'm literally like in my house most days and I'm just like, okay, well, I should pay this much on this card. They're going to run it on this date. So then my score can go up. But then sometimes it goes down and then I'm just confused. And so like what affects like I guess it's like utilization rates. Like, can you tell me more about that? Like what affects the fact of it going up and down like that?
Yes. So you have to think of your credit as being on a scale. So you have a scale. Your debt to income ratio plays a big part. So if you make a payment on one account, you would think that it would lower you. However, sometimes it kind of raises your account balances, this depending on what else is on your credit.
Right.
Just think of your whole credit as like a full scope of your financial profile. They're taking everything into account. Every payment you make, payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. That's why you always heard your parents saying, pay your bills on time. Make sure you pay your bills on time, because after you miss a payment, that's a late payment that's being noted to your account. That's going to lower your scores. Your account balance now is going to go up by your payment amount, and also your payment fee, interest, late payment, whatever. And that's going to tip the scale when it comes to your debt to income. So you want to make as many on-time payments as you can, and also as much as you can to lower your account balances. Utilization plays a big factor too.
So I was gonna say, so utilization isn't just your utilization of that one card. Like, how do you get that? Like
utilization overall of your accounts. You want to make sure all of your accounts stay below 30%. I try to tell my clients to stay around 25, just so they have a little cushion.
Okay.
And I do recommend that you make your payments in 2-week increments. So if your minimum payment is $40, pay that $40 payment before it's due, but then also make another $20 payment in a week or so, or in 2 weeks. That way you get 2 on-time payment alerts hitting your credit, and you're also putting a dent in your account balance.
Okay, so like it helps you with those interest rates that are crazy that we get later when you be like, I spent $20 and it's charging me $40. But yeah. Okay, so what about closed accounts? So how does that affect my credit score? Like I was looking at, my credit report, and I realized that some accounts were closed. So I know that people pay off cars, or they do certain things and, people try to get rid of the credit card and they close the account. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
It depends. I honestly wouldn't close any accounts unless you absolutely have to. A lot of accounts are closed because it's paid off. So you do want, if you have positive history with that account and it's aged, like you had a credit card from 18 till now you're 28. That's 10 years worth of credit history that you have. Great rapport with the creditor. You don't want to get rid of that, because creditors want to be able to pull your credit report and see that you can handle different types of credit. So they can see that you had 10 years worth of great credit with this account. Although the account is closed, the balance is zero. There's no negative payment history reported. You weren't behind on payments. It didn't charge off or anything like that. They do want to see that type of, it's just like a review on an account. You know how you go to buy clothes, you're like, I want to make sure it fits. It ships on time. That's the type of stuff that lenders and creditors want to see when you're applying for new credit.
So when you say like a diverse, I guess, portfolio, what should that include?
So that should include a very diverse portfolio. Would include a car loan of some sort, home loan, mortgage loan of some sort, some credit cards. And when I say credit cards, I mean like charge cards with store credit, as well as some cash cards like Capital One, Discover, your American Express cards like that. So there are 4 different types of credit that they want to see you have on your credit report.
So rental history, I got all these questions down. So rental history, for those who don't own homes like myself, that counts, right? Towards your credit score? Or does that not?
Okay. It does not. A lot of people think, well, I pay bills and
Right.
The cell phone bill isn't going on your credit card.
The cell phone bill doesn't go on the credit card?
I mean, it could go on your credit card. I meant your credit report.
You mean on your credit report?
No. So if you forfeit on that account, they will charge it to the bureaus to make sure that you get, the negative deemed for it. But while you're making those payments to Sprint and AT&T, that does not go on your credit. It does not. No one knows that you would have a cell phone and you're making on-time payments for it. Unless you're doing now.
I thought that was the thing though. Like you could get a car, if you get a cell phone, you put it in your name. It's the purpose that it's in your name and it goes towards your credit score. I did not know that.
They will use the credit
Yeah.
to see how much the deposit you make, or to see if they even want to grant you credit to, work with them, but it does not go on your credit. Experian Boost, I will say this, there's a feature on Experian.com where it's called Experian Boost. They will let you use your bank statements as like, I guess, the reference for the bills that you pay on time. So like your utility bills, some of your credit card bills, and your cell phone bills may get credit for that. But that's only with the one bureau, credit bureau, which is Experian.
Well, that was nice to know. So now, what if I was someone who, because I've heard the rumor that no credit is still bad credit. So if I've gone through life and I don't have necessarily any credit at all, but I have a 600 or 550 and I'm still not being approved for credit card loans or anything like that. So what advice can you give me to help me build a credit score if I just don't have any credit right now?
Credit. So a lot of people assume that, I don't want credit cards, stay away from credit cards. And I would say, especially for the minority, we always shied away from credit. It was something that was, I know where I'm from, it was something that was real, like spend your cash. Don't get me wrong, cash is great, but credit is king. You're going to need a good mixture of both. So no credit, to me, a lot of people say no credit is just as bad as having bad credit. Bad credit, you really have to prove yourself that you are, capable of being able to access any amount of credit that anyone lends you. With no credit, you have the chance to build. So I would say having no credit is a lot better than having bad credit. In order to change your no credit profile, you would need to obtain credit. So you could get a secure card.
Okay.
Make on-time monthly payments. Those on-time monthly payments would then be reported to the credit bureaus. And that's the type of stuff that lenders for home loans, lenders for car loans, other creditors, whether you want a store account or another credit card, those are the type of accounts that they're going to want to see on your profile.
So the secure credit card, though, is that basically like me putting my money on the card in order to do it? Or is there like smaller businesses that give you a credit card with a little limit?
Yes. Now, credit unions. Credit unions are the only ones usually that will grant you credit with no credit. And also Capital One does sometimes, depending on your age and of course what's on your credit score, credit report. But there are no banks that would. So a lot of times, even discovering Capital One, a lot of times will ask you to secure your card with a small minimum fee, anywhere from $49 to $200 to give you that $200 limit. And that is a lot of times refundable, but they just want to see that you can maintain it for 12 to 24 months, making those on-time payments, staying below
12 to 24 months, and then I can apply for a real quote-unquote credit card.
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, let's take that back. So you can actually, a secure card is a great place to start. Say you make anywhere between like 3 to 5 months, you spent some money on your card, you stayed well below your utilization, which is 30%. Now your credit, you will see a boost in your credit. Those on-time monthly payments are reporting. Your utilization is reporting. Your debt to income ratio is kind of leveled out. Actually, not leveled out, but you can apply for unsecured credit at that time.
Okay. I'm so happy that I asked you that, because I have friends who are currently in their situation and they want to buy a house and they're just pretty much like, but I don't have any credit.
Yeah. And buying a home, I'm no realtor, but I did take the realtor class. I just went through with actually getting my license. But lenders for home loans look at a very full look at your financial profile. So they're checking bank statements. They're going to check employment history.
Right.
Well, it's so much more than your credit. They want to see that you can keep in consecutive employment. They look for at least 2 to 3 years of employment, no gaps. If you do have gaps, they want those explained. Check your bank statements and your spending habits. So if you're spending half of your income on fast food and entertainment, they're going to see that and be like, no, you can't handle a mortgage.
Yeah.
Whether you have the money or not. Yeah, absolutely. They do take a full scope. They're at it with binoculars, looking at your full financial profile.
Yeah, because my girlfriend, as she was getting her house, I would invite her out to certain things. She's like, oh no, like I have to budget, like this money goes to this money goes to that. She's like, because they're actually like going through my statements all the time before, like they were at the closing table, the house was being built, and she was like, no, my lender goes through my statements like the entire time. I'm like, what?
Yes, they look at everything. So if you're eating out 5 days a week, they are looking at that.
Well, I guess it's a good thing I'm learning how to cook, huh?
I see you.
Right, I be trying. So now I want to just talk about like the people who do have, I guess, delinquent accounts. You know, the burning question is always student loans, and how does that affect my credit score? Because, you know, if you stop paying them, you're delinquent. And so how do you come back from delinquent accounts on your credit score?
So going back to what I said and how I even got started, like I said, I had to file bankruptcy at 27. That is not something, bankruptcy is not credit repair. Although I am a credit repair specialist, I do not promote bankruptcy at all. However, I do want to make it clear to people that that is a very real option for you if you need to relinquish any of your debt, if you're in over your heads. That's why it was created, to help people. And the richest of the rich are going to file every 7 years whenever they.
I was gonna say that they're doing it. I see it all the time.
It's us that are frowned upon it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn myself that it wasn't a bad idea. And honestly, it was the best thing I could have ever done at the time. I was 27 when I did it. I'm 33 now. I'm 1 year away from being completely out.
Okay.
And it doesn't stop you from getting anything. And back to student loans, that was part of the reason why I had to file. So I went to a private university. Of course, you take all of the U.S. Department of Ed student loans. Somewhere, somehow, predatory lending, which is very, very real out here when you're in college. I did get a loan for $20,000. It was a private loan, thank God, which is different from your regular federal student loans. But once I graduated college, that loan actually tripled. So it went from being to $60,000. And that's why I was 6 figures in debt. So I had no choice but
that's a lot.
I'm going to dig myself out of that hole. And I just sat down and did what I had to do. But if you're in a financial situation and you feel like you're in over your heads, I'm not saying file bankruptcy, but really sit down and take a look at your credit. A lot of people are very insecure about their credit. They don't want to see the credit score. They hone in on the score and just think, oh my God, it's horrible. I can't do anything about it. You can. A lot of times, 18% of your credit reports hold errors. Your open dates aren't correct. Your balances are incorrect. Keep in mind that these collection agencies technically don't own the account. They're buying these accounts for pennies on a dollar, trying to collect on money that isn't rightfully owned to them. So it's just knowing your rights.
So if with your services in your company, do you go after those people? Is there the service that you provide? Okay. Because I was going to say, I mean, I hear you saying like, you know, this could be wrong, that could be wrong, but I know the average person, including myself, would be like, okay, but where do I start? Right.
Yes. So if you ever pulled your full credit report, you'll see that they have addresses on there from way back when you lived with your auntie, grandma, your first when you were growing up in high school. That's inaccurate and old information that you need updated. They will have different variations of your name. I don't know if you've ever had a bill. They may have spelt your name incorrectly, had a middle name on there that's no longer associated with you. And also keep in mind, people working at these bureaus and even at these creditor accounts, AT&T, Sprint, whatever, your SMECO, your medical collections, things like that, they're people just like you and I. So we BS at work. You know, so and we do typos.
Yeah.
We not update our reports that need to be doing. We may just send the same report that we sent last month. And a lot of times that's the case. So you really want to keep track of who you're paying, what you're paying, and what's being reported. And if you see any inaccuracies and discrepancies, that's what causes for us to challenge the credit bureaus.
Okay, and so let's just go ahead and hop into this money makeover kit that you have. I've been like looking at your websites, and I'm super excited now that I'm talking to you about the things that I know your company does. But what is this money makeover kit?
Okay, so I started the kit. I had the kit for about a year now. It was only just the dispute letters that I used and like some brief instructions. But now that I'm still learning, it's still a learning process for me. And I just have so much more information. So that comes with a full book of, actually have the book. You'll this full book of laws on credit laws, as well as the 10 letters for disputes. It tells you what to do with your student loans. It actually tell you how to get student loan forgiveness. I know we get those robocalls all the time. You've been approved for student loan, but there actually are programs out here that can help you with your student loan payments. Also, U.S. Department of Education, Sallie Mae, Nelnet, there are a couple other student loan companies. They offer so many other payment options for you to stay above water. The last thing you want for your student loans is for them to default.
You got Navient in there, look.
Yes, Navient for sure. Yes. And Navient is Sallie Mae. I don't even know.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't for sure.
Yes. But those are the type of things that you will want. If you owe any accounts, the last thing you want is to forfeit on that account. So I always tell people, if you cannot afford to pay full balances, pay the minimums, pay a little bit more than the minimum just to keep yourself out of, the deep end.
Okay.
And also with the kit, it is loaded. There's so many instructional information, prepaid cards, credit cards, how to buy a car, what to look for when buying a car. Every time you buy a car, you know that they're running your credit with 10, sometimes 20 different lenders. Those are all hard and that will affect your credit report. So it's just knowing your rights and knowing what to ask for and how to ask for when you're trying to obtain new credit.
So it's the ultimate toolkit. Yes.
A lot of people, like I said, they're so insecure about their credit. And it's just like, if you don't want me to know your business, fine. Here, I'm going to give you everything that you need, like literally everything that you need to go at it yourself. It is all free game. A lot of people just don't have the time or don't really know where to start, like you said.
Well, I thank you. That sounds like an awesome product. But now that we actually are coming to the close of this, I had another question. So it just made me think about the fact that you are a mother and you have all of this experience now. What, not necessarily advice, but what advice would you give to a parent now? Like, what age should you start your children's credit? Like, what could I be doing to help them be in a good place later? Because now that you know all of this, like, what do you tell me to do differently?
I would say from a parent's standpoint, thank God that my daughter, it's like by the time she got old enough to even know what money is and how to keep her own little purse and pocketbook or whatever you want to call it, I knew better. So I could teach her things. So she does have a credit card. She has her own stocks. We do things like that. I do educate her. She helps me a lot in my business. I have her addressing the envelopes, staying below your utilization, paying your bills on time is the biggest thing. Try not to get too much debt. Like you've always heard, live within your means.
Right.
I say when looking for a place to live, if you cannot afford to pay your rent, there are some rules that I go by. So I feel like if you cannot afford your rent in one of your paychecks, it is out of your league. Just because
that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, worst case scenario, if you had to take your whole entire paycheck and put it towards your rent, you can. That way you're not looking for other avenues to pay your bills. Just living within your means. That's the biggest thing. And if you're going to start your kids on credit, I would say you can add your kids as authorized users on your credit cards as young as 14 for some cards. Yeah. But definitely 16, get them bank accounts, get some allowance money going in there, teach them how to spend, teach them how to budget, and set them up, have them come out not so much behind at 18, but have them come up ahead.
And I think that, like, I'm just super thankful for my parents because they did that for me. And so they set me up. I messed myself up later, like going to college, buying timeshares because I knew I was going to travel the world. So I messed myself up. But when I was 14, my mother did make me like an authorized user on like 2 of her accounts. So when I did come to college and have the thought of things, I had some credit history.
Yeah, you didn't start at the bottom. So I'm sure that really gave you a boost.
It did. And then I was thinking about like, she used to find websites that would give me little credit cards. One was like, I think it was like Giddy or something. And I would get on there and buy my little sister's Christmas gifts and pay it back. And that's how I was building my credit.
And you know what?
At the time, but my mom was like, no, you need to do this to build your credit. I'm like,
yes. And Fingerhut is so old, but it is such a great credit booster account. Like if it's hard for you to get credit, start with Fingerhut.
Okay.
On there is like super pricey. I know you had some friends who were trying to, start from the bottom and build credit. If you don't want a credit card per se, if you don't really trust yourself with the credit card, and you don't have the money to put down to secure the card, Fingerhut has I think Start Fresh or Even Fresh or something fresh program where they'll extend you a small amount of credit. You go in there and purchase one thing and you pay the minimum payments over time. And within, like I said, 3 to 5 months, you'll be able to get an unsecured card for sure.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I feel like I've learned a lot from you in this session. I know I gave you questions kind of fast, and I probably will email you more questions. So if you could go ahead and just let the viewers know where they can find you. I will be sure to include it in all of my information and all of my marketing material. But while you're here, just go ahead and give yourself a shout out because you're great.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Kisha Joe. I am the owner of 30 Girl. I also have a podcast, the 30 Girl Podcast, where I interview female entrepreneurs to let them talk about their journeys as mothers, as women, as professionals. And we talk about finance, anywhere from finance to love. So, and you can follow me on social media across the board at the 30 Girl. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Etsy. I'm literally everywhere.
Etsy.
I'm everywhere, girl. Type me in anywhere. I'll show up. And you can also visit my website, www.30girl.org.
And then you can tune into 30 Girl Thursdays, right?
Yeah.
30 Girl
Thursdays. Every Thursday, a new episode of the 30 Girl Podcast. And if you are a female entrepreneur and in business, I'm always looking for new business owners to interview. I feel like all of us have our own unique stories, and you never know who needs to hear your story to excel in life. So come on over.
Well, thank you again for joining, guys.